The methods that we've talked about so far were all standard methods in the sense that they took in plain values as arguments. One of the things that makes functional languages, including Scala, very powerful is the fact that you can pass around functions. We've already seen that with some of the things that we've written where we've abstracted by passing in a function. That is done a lot in the collections library. And so in this video, I want to introduce kind of the two higher order methods that I consider the most useful before we go on and look at the other ones. So let's remind ourselves of our array A here. The two methods that I find that I use the most are map and filter. So what do these do? Well, the method map takes a function and it applies that function to every element that you have, and it gives you back a new collection with the result of those function applications. So if I wanted to double all the values inside of A, I could pass in the function underscore times 2 to be the element times 2. Of course, I could have written that also as I rocket I times 2. It would do the exact same thing. And now I get back a new array where all of the values that are in the array are twice what we had in the original array. And note that A didn't get changed here. This did create a new array when it was doing this work. We could also do things like square the values. We could apply whatever function we want. And you don't have to go from ints to ints. I could take I and divide by 2.0. And now I have a whole bunch of numbers that are all doubles. I could also take my I value and I could take a string like hi, let's put a space in there, and say times I. Remember that when you do multiplication of an integer, of a string by an integer, it repeats that. So our first value here, which had been 5 in A, is now hi repeated 5 times. And then the 2 gives hi repeated 2 times, etc. So this now produced an array of strings. And basically we can pass in any function that we want, and it will apply that function to all of the values and give us back the outputs. One thing to note is that whatever function you pass in, it does have to work with the type of the collection, but it can give you back any type that you want. The other method that I find very helpful is filter. So what filter does is we pass in a function, and this function has to return a Boolean. A function that returns a Boolean when you pass it an argument is often called a predicate. Okay, so we pass in a predicate to filter, and what filter is going to do is it's going to build a new collection that contains only the elements for which that predicate was true. So in this case, let's say I wanted to only give back the even values. Then I would say I want all I where I modulo 2 is 0. And now I get back a new collection of evens. If I filter on that, I would get back the odds. Let's say I wanted to take the odds and then double them, then I could take that filter and pass it, the result of it, through a map and double all of my values. Okay. Filtering basically allows you to pare data down. So if you have a large data set, and we're going to finish off this chapter of material by looking at a larger data set, and then we want to take that data set and cut it down so in various ways, and we're going to do that a lot with filter, and then we'll also want to apply functions to it, and we're going to do that with map. So these are two functions that hopefully you will work to understand because they're very powerful. They let us do a lot of different things.